Hi, this is Political News in 5, and today is January 29th, 2023. Now, this is a bonus edition. I'm starting with the second Abeokuta Emilokan declaration. Last week, Tinubu was in Abeokuta campaign trail and he complained that they were trying to sabotage his success with the fuel scarcity that's ongoing and the Naira scarcity that has been created by the Naira redesign policy of the central bank. Now, as everybody pointed out, this is your government. You, as you boasted last year, single-handedly put Buhari in power in 2015 after he had luled 3 previous times. So, whatever glory, success of this administration should be borne by Tinubu himself. But it seems as if Tinubu is feeling on edge. It seems like every time he's on edge, he goes to Abeokuta and gives a declaration. He did one before the primaries and he won. He's doing another one now. Is that the magic charm? Let's wait and see. But it's also important to point out that Tinubu, a few days after that declaration, came out to qualify his statement and said that no, he was referring to the they was PDP. And that's silly because PDP is not in charge of the petroleum of the Ministry of Petroleum. Neither are they in charge of the CBN, the Naira redesign policy that many believe is designed and timed to reduce voter trading, was designed by Buhari and Emefiele. So again, these are his government policies, but one can sympathize with Tinubu. Buhari is extremely unpopular right now. He was stoned in his home state of Katsina during the week, and Tinubu is walking a tight line. You know, if he associates too much with the APC, then the voters will say, well, this is your government, take the pain, take the gain. And if he tries to distance himself, then he annoys the members of his party whose help he still needs to get him across the finishing line. But you can also see that Tinubu is quite selfish because fuel scarcity has been the hallmark of the Buhari administration since 2015. There were blocks of time, even right after Buhari was sworn in, where there was no fuel. There have been very few Christmas seasons, holiday seasons, where there hasn't been a fuel scarcity. And beyond and despite that, our fuel subsidy costs keep rising, and Tinubu has never commiserated with Nigerians, never seemed to care that was happening. But suddenly, when it's me, then he remembers that, you know, this is a terrible thing that Nigerians are facing. And yes, while some people will be crossing state borders to get home to vote, and this fuel scarcity will make things difficult for them, the majority of us live around where we're going to vote, and there's movement restrictions on voting day. So we're all going to walk to the polls anyway. Well, let's see how Tinubu does at the polls. But I think everybody's playlist should include Burna Boy's Last Last. Let's wait and see. Second thing I want to talk about is the Abia state gubernatorial race. And the state of that race. The PDP candidate Uche Okone died during the week. Now, INEC had already said in sections 33 and 34 what happens when you want to change a candidate through death, because death and withdrawal are the only ways that a candidate list can be changed according to the Electoral Act. Now, PDP has 14 days to hold another primary so that the new ticket holder for PDP will be selected. If you're wondering why his deputy can't step in, that's what the provisions say. The provisions say that only when the polls have already started, but maybe before the results have been announced, will the deputy now step into the role of the principal. Now, what is interesting about this is that Abia State Governor Ikpeazu is one of the Ashwebi 5 who are fighting their own party, PDP. And rightly, it should be the National Chairman Ayu, who has borne the brunt of their ire, who should be planning the primaries. So will Ayu take his pound of flesh and make sure that Ikpeazu's preferred candidate, if he has one, doesn't win? Let's wait and see. But it shouldn't matter anyway. The favorite for Abia is Alex Oti of the Labour Party, who, after the 2015 election, was believed to have won. One set of judges gave him the certificate of return. He governed for a short while, and then another court displaced him and gave it back to Ikpeazu. Speaking of courts, are you aware that there's an ICPC? ICPC is the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, a government agency report that says that between 2018 and 2020, election-related bribes went up as high as 9.4 billion naira. Just think about that. That's about $26 million within a space of 2 years for election-related cases. Speaking of judges and election-related cases, last week we got news from Osun, where the tribunal sitting on the case between Oyetola and Adeleke asked INEC to withdraw the certificate of returns that it gave Adeleke and reissue it in favor of Oyetola of APC. Now, the reason they gave was that there was overvoting in about 749 polling units, and they found this out through the BVAS records. Now, BVAS stands for the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, which is one of the new innovations in the Electoral Act that allows, not in the Electoral Act, that allows, in INEC guidelines, that allows us to try and mitigate ballot box stuffing. So what it says is if you can't be accredited with that system, then you cannot vote. Now, in this case, just to use examples, maybe the number of people who are accredited in a polling unit were 100, but the results were like 130, which means that's the overvoting. Now, what Section 51 says is that where there's overvoting, INEC should cancel the elections in just those polling units that are affected and hold the elections again. Now, it says in Section 51(4) that where INEC, in its discretion, is satisfied that holding those elections again in those polling units wouldn't make any difference to the results, then they do not have to hold those elections anymore. I think that's very worrying. Two things. One, from the way the provision is written, it's clear that the Electoral Act did not anticipate this situation that we have in Osun, where the overvoting will be found out months after. And so we have to ask, why didn't INEC find out about the overvoting as it was tabulating the results? Why did it have to wait months to find that out? The second one is, it's also clear that there's no, the courts should have, in my opinion, declined from holding this case or from reviewing this case. They should have just said simply from looking at Section 51, please, INEC, come in and decide what you want to do. Do you want to hold reruns in these particular polling units, or are you satisfied? It should not be a decision that the court should make. I think this is really bad. It has echoes of the Imo State overturn of Ehedioha's elections in favor of Uzodinma. We cannot run away from the fact that these are both cases, the Imo case and the Osun State, where PDP won, but these judgments are being given in favor of APC. This is the second time. It's a very worrying sign. We really need to do something about the role of the judiciary in our elections. And we really need to make sure that INEC knows how BVAS is going to work on election day. I am worried that all around the country, especially for the presidential elections, we'll have pockets of people who cannot get accredited. So BVAS is working, but they cannot get accredited, and so they can't vote. How is INEC going to decide that all their votes are immaterial? Well, if you haven't picked up your PVC, you still have till February 5th to do so. That's it for me on Political News in 5. Have a great week ahead. Stay well. Bye.